Hey everyone, it's Lisa Joan Anderson from Special Needs Nutrition and Coaching. We are here for Ask the Nutritionist Wednesday afternoon. If you have any questions, then post them below. Otherwise, I'm going to talk to you about the importance of digestion. So let's see, nothing came in earlier, so let me know if you're here with me. Say hello, let me know where you're from, and post any questions that you may have. All right, so it is a few days before Christmas, and I feel probably less prepared this year than I have in other years, only because we moved in October, not just to a new house, but actually a new location, like a new community. And even though I was born here, I didn't really expect that it was going to be as challenging to move and get settled and get connected with different organizations as it has. So we put the tree up last Sunday. We're in the middle of doing some Christmas baking. I haven't done the shopping yet, but don't tell my girls that yet. That's going to happen later this week, probably tomorrow. And I'm here wanting to share with you. I'm sure you're busy as well. So let's just talk a little bit about digestion, because if you're suffering, you or your loved one is suffering from some sort of pain or discomfort around eating, I can probably help you or your loved one feel a lot better even before Christmas dinner or holiday meal that you might be looking forward to over the next little while. So digestion is super important, and if it's not working well, basically if we're not digesting it and absorbing our food properly, we're just not going to feel good. And it's basically is a doorway into good health, and ensuring that every other body system that we have is going to function as ultimately as it can. So if you didn't know already, our gut is actually considered our second brain. So here's our first brain, and down there is our second brain, and that's because we have like a crazy number of neurons, like 100 million neurons located in our gut, and they go from down there to up here. And there's actually more that go from our gut to our head than from our head to our gut. And so that speaks something about the importance of that and why it's called the second brain. So if you hear the saying, like, I've got a gut feeling, sometimes our gut gets the sensation that there's something not right before our head does. If we are sensitive to, or we're feeling anxious, or we're stressed, and often we can't eat. That's because our gut's involved. So if we want to ensure that this body system, our digestion, is working as ultimately as it possibly can. So as I said, our gut is connected to our brain, and that means our brain is part of our nervous system. So our nervous system is finely tuned into what our gut is doing, and so is every other body system. So for example, our immune system, did you know that like 70 to 80% of our immune tissues are located in our digestive system? That's a huge amount. So when I remember it, I'll explain a little bit more about my story and why I do this. But when my daughter was really young, and I finally figured out what to feed her, and she stopped the digestive distress, she didn't get sick. And in fact, her pediatrician, I think it took him 10 or 11 years to kind of get on board with what I was doing to help her, turned to me and said, kids that eat like this just don't get sick. And I said, yeah, it's true. So if your loved one or you are constantly like getting colds or viruses or getting this or that, it's because your digestive system is not ultimately functioning as well as it could. So that's where you want to start. And so let's talk about our endocrine system. That's where our hormones, how endocrine system is our hormones. So endocrine glands such as the adrenals, the thyroid, the hippocampus, pituitary, all produce hormones that help our body function, but they don't if our gut's not working well. And so there's a lot of hormones that are dependent upon signals from the gut, or they want to ensure that our microbiome is healthy, and some of these are actually made down there. So you want a healthy gut, you want a healthy microbiome. Microbiome is the bacteria that lives in the gut, and I'll explain that in a little bit. The pituitary is connected to melatonin. It helps us sleep. The thyroid has a number of different hormones that it produces, but it's basically connected to every single body system. Let's talk about the reproductive system. So when our digestion isn't working well, and we are not pooping at least once a day, estrogen can build up in our body because it can't, and if we're not pooping, it's going to get circulated. So that can cause other issues, other chronic issues. Testosterone is the same thing. So every body system is connected to digestion. So as a nutritionist, where I start, whenever anybody comes to me with some health issues, or they're not feeling well, or they're just not something's just not right, or they've got other chronic symptoms that they're trying to deal with, the first place we start is always in the gut and digestion. So I've talked about how digestion works before, but just quickly, we had the three sorry, I can't remember the word. We have the three, we have proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Carbohydrates start digestion in the mouth, and there's enzymes that help break it down, and it moves down through the esophagus, through the lower esophageal sphincter into the stomach, and that's where protein starts digestion with stomach acids and all sorts of other enzymes that help break down the protein and continue making the fat and the carbohydrates that are with it into something called chyme. When that's broken down enough, it gets transferred along with stomach acid or the hydrochloric acid into our small intestine, the duodenum. What happens is when that stomach acid transfers with it, it sends a message to the small intestine or the duodenum, which is supposed to be a more alkaline environment, to release bile and pancreatic enzymes or pancreatic juices that are much more alkaline and will neutralize that stomach acid. And the nice thing about that bile when it comes in is it starts helping the fat to be digested. So that happens quite a few hours after we've eaten a meal. And if everything's going well, then those the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are being digested properly, and within 17 to 24 hours, we are eventually pooping it out. So that's how it works ultimately. Now, if you start to get symptoms of digestive distress, then we know something's not working properly. So there's symptoms of digestive distress can include vomiting, cyclic vomiting, gas, burping, bloating, discomfort, like there's some pain with eating. It can be diarrhea or constipation. Both are signs that something's not working right. There can be some pain several hours. Sometimes there's a skin reaction. Sometimes there's even like excess mucus that's building up. And I've seen some moms have shared with me videos of their children waking up early in the morning, and the first thing they do is vomit. And there's lots of mucus with that vomit, and something's not being digested properly. So those are the main symptoms of digestive distress. And so if anyone, you or anyone you're caring for, is suffering from any of those, then this is where myself as a nutritionist, a naturopath, a holistic doctor is going to try and figure out what is the cause of it. And so there can be many different causes. Sometimes it can be carbohydrate, protein, or fat maldigestion, which means you're just not being able to digest it for some reason. It can be low stomach acid. It can be due to high stomach acid. So it could be something called leaky gut. Sometimes someone has Crohn's disease or celiac disease. Sometimes there's an inflammation in the stomach, gastritis. Sometimes it's due to a lot of buildup of toxins and medications, and it's just kind of eating away at the stomach lining or in the intestines. And we get GERD, we get IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, we get irritable bowel disease, which is like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. IBS is a little different. It has actually, an emotional component. So remember, I explained at the beginning that our emotions can be tied to our gut, and how we're eating and how we're feeling can affect what we're eating. So, so if you're experiencing any of those, then ultimately you want to try and figure out what is the cause. It could be like a food intolerance. Someone just can't tolerate something in the meal that's being given, and then you kind of have to figure out, take one food at a time, try an elimination diet, or start an anti-inflammatory diet, and just see, like, one at a time, what's the cause. So then what do you do if you've got these symptoms of digestive distress and you're trying to figure out the cause? How do you bring the body back into balance so that you're being able to digest properly and absorb the nutrients that you're eating? So first of all, I already mentioned you can try an elimination diet. See if there's something. You can just start by eliminating all like possible food intolerances. So those are like wheat, dairy, sometimes tofu, eggs, soy, seafood sometimes can. Egg can be, depending on the age of the child, especially if they're young, they can be sensitive to eggs. Sometimes chicken, although I hope not that it wouldn't be chicken. Anyway, so you want to bring the body, try eliminating certain foods. You can try one at a time, or you can just go like completely anti-inflammatory. And if you Google anti-inflammatory foods, you're going to get a whole list of foods that are recommended there. I personally take out all grains when the gut is inflamed enough and you're trying to figure out what is the cause. I just take them all out and I just focus on some protein like fish or chicken, some good healthy green veggies, maybe in squash, limited fruit, maybe apple, pear, or blueberry, but there's sometimes someone can react to blueberries too. And then good healthy fats, such as coconut oil, fish oil, but I would usually get that separately, never heat that up, or olive oil. Just give it a try. And so that's usually what I start with. And then, so I eliminate everything, and then I add in the anti-inflammatory foods, or easy to digest foods, so monosaccharides over disaccharides if it's a carbohydrate. Good clean protein, eliminate any sort of additives in foods. Like, you want it basically right at the bottom of like the basic foods. Nothing's been processed. Add some sea salt, some nice herbs if you want, and just give it a try. And then just add additional foods one by one. Avocados are good foods to try. Usually squash over sweet potato because that's monosaccharide versus disaccharide. And then I try and include, make sure when you're eating you've got all the macronutrients that you're covering carbohydrates, you're covering protein, you're covering fat, so you know that you're getting all those, and hopefully they're filled with micronutrients, so the vitamins and minerals and enzymes that are going to just help feed that gut and that body. And then you want to make sure you're adding all the essential nutrients that we cannot our body can't produce. So for example, vitamin C is essential for us, so you have to get it in like leafy green vegetables, or like lemon juice, or even orange if you can, although orange tends to be a little bit more acidic. The nice thing about lemon juice is once it's in the body, it actually alkalinizes the body, so it's a little bit different. It works a little bit differently. So making sure you're getting vitamin C, omega-3 and 6s are essential. Those are the polyunsaturated fats, and ideally you can get those through eating fish. There's some vegetarian sources such as walnuts or chia, but the issue is, and I've explained this in other videos, is the body may not be converting the omega-3s into the DHA and the EPA, which are the real nutrients from omega-3s that our body wants. So ideally seafood, if you can. And then amino acids. There's 9 essential amino acids. So if you are a meat eater or a fish eater, then you're going to get those 9 essentials. If you happen to be a vegetarian or vegan, then you've got to find ways of combining proteins. So for example, beans and rice are usually a combo that will contain all of them, and you want to make sure you're getting those full amino acids, full 9 essential amino acids every single day. You don't have to eat those things at the same meal, but they do need to be eaten in the same day. So the one thing I want to sort of point out, though, is if you're suffering from digestive distress and you're a vegan or a vegetarian and you're looking for those amino acids, essential amino acids and trying to get a full protein in, those can be inflammatory and can irritate the gut if started early. So you really want to be careful, and if you are eating them and you're still feeling some digestive distress, discomfort, you might want to try eliminating one of those at a time and maybe subbing in something else. Okay. So those are the basics of digestion and how to, the symptoms to look for and how to sort of get started. If you want to, if you're having trouble trying to get it corrected on your own, then reach out to myself, to another nutritionist, holistic practitioner, because usually we all start in the same way. And we'll try and figure out the cause of what's doing it and try and eliminate it. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer any of them. In the meantime, let me ask, or let me tell you a little bit about what is happening over the next little while. So if you're interested in working on a blenderized diet, I actually create blenderized meals for clients. And that is if you're not able to chew, then you want a liquid meal, then, or even if you don't want, or you can chew and you do want a full meal and you want it to be able to drink it, then that's something I do. It's a full meal. It contains all the macronutrients and tons of micronutrients, and I prepare those and they do taste good. If you have a loved one or yourself has a feeding tube, I'm not so worried about it tasting good, but I can make that as well. And usually it's a little bit more nutrient dense only because I'm not worried about taste as much. I also offer nutrition consulting on other issues, and again, we do start with digestion, and that's why it's important to understand that. And I also offer for those people who are trying to have a loved one, or you yourself is just exhausted, you are lonely, you're overwhelmed, you're anxious, you've been going through on this journey for a long time. I've been there. I've done that with my own daughter over the last 16 years, and I know what it's like. And so I am offering something called hero training for special needs moms or special needs parents, or those people who really do just want to connect with people and want to build and gain clarity, some energy. They want to be more productive in their lives. They want to gain some influence, and be connected with others. So that starts in January. Just message me below, and I'd love to work with you and a group of people, and see you soar. It's a 12-week program, and it's awesome. And it's based on Brenda Burchard's high performance coaching. I've been through it many times, and the feedback I've gotten as well is just that it's amazing. So I encourage you to sign up for that. So if there are no specific questions about digestion or anything else, then I will sign off for now. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. We are heading into Toronto to see a school concert tonight. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all those you celebrating, and I love you. Stay in touch. Bye-bye.